Hi. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and meet with me today. I really appreciate it. I know that we're all busy people, so I really just appreciate you being here to talk about my time that I spent with your son. And I'm just going to kind of go over all of the things that I noticed and let you know what we've been working on. So basically, as you can see around the classroom, there are labels and color coordination throughout the bulletin boards and the agenda and things like that. All of those things are just to help your son kind of guide himself throughout the day without having to ask for help, and it really gives him a form of confidence and independence throughout his school day. Another thing that really shows his independence and confidence are his strong social skills and the long-term friends that he's built over the years that he's been in class. You can really tell that they communicate well, they communicate effectively, and they're used to each other, which is great. Long-term relationships are great for anyone. Basically, at the moment, we were really effective with vocalizing what I needed from him and what he needed from me, and how I can rephrase things or how I can ask a question differently in order to help him understand. Super great, very effective, and he taught me a lot through just the way that I behave, my mannerisms, my facial expressions. All of that was very effective. Something that we can work on is handling discouragement. However, not a big problem, and I definitely do see progress just in the short time that I was working with him. We're definitely learning how to use different words and how to use those words to effectively ask or tell somebody how to work better with your son. And it's working out great so far. So, language arts basically is a way to study words and sentence structure in order to build sentences, to piece them together, and basically the end goal is to just make your writing stronger and more interesting for the reader. In this unit specifically that I was working with your son, we discussed the different parts of the sentences, like the subject, predicate, object, adjectives, nouns, different components of the sentences, how to piece those pieces together, basically, in order to form a complete sentence, and then how to eventually form those really effective sentences into even more powerful paragraphs as a writer. The pre-assessment is essentially a way to show growth in the end. The pre-assessment is something that aids the teacher in knowing where to focus on for the students, a general area that they mostly do not understand, and how much time to spend on each specific area. These pre-assessment results are not supposed to be great scores because we're testing them on something that they don't know yet, as a way for us to know where they stand and where we should point them in order to get to the end goal and the end objective. So his score was a 34%, not the lowest, not the highest, perfectly fine in between, and not a concern whatsoever. It does seem like a low score, but like I said, we're testing him on something that he hasn't been taught yet, so it's perfectly fine. We did notice throughout the pre-assessment that he's stronger with the shorter parts of the sentences, like shorter chunks of sentences and pieces of sentences, versus the whole sentence, breaking it down and labeling those parts. But again, something that we work on throughout the unit, so not a big concern. The lesson plan specifically that we worked on together was a worksheet. It's what we call an interactive worksheet because it's similar to a crossword puzzle and kind of like a Mad Libs type of situation where you take small bits of information. You have to know the little bits of information in order to put the whole thing together. Without the little pieces, you can't skip ahead to the big pieces, just like in a crossword puzzle. So the success that was shown on the worksheet was basically that he needed guidance when it came to the instructions and the steps of how to complete the worksheet, but he did a really good job with the pieces, the small pieces. So we eventually used those small pieces in order to get to the end result, and the worksheet was actually very successful, and we worked together on that one. Overall, your son has taught me many, many, many different things in a very, very short period of time, which I'm sure is no different than anybody else who encounters him. I learned a different kind of patience, a different perspective, and like I said earlier, my body language, my facial expressions, sometimes they can say a lot more than my words, and he picks up on that very quickly. No matter what the situation is, I have no doubts that he'll be successful, he'll be great, and continue to work throughout the year on the units that we go through. And I don't see any kind of concern that we can't work through, because he is willing to work through things and he knows effective ways to work through them. So I see nothing but a bright future. I just want to thank you again for coming and taking your time. It was very nice meeting you.